Here is the truth almost no one wants to say out loud. What you call your life is not happening to you. It is happening with you. And the moment you understand that, the entire shape of your reality begins to shift. For generations, people have brushed manifestation aside as a fairy tale for mystics and daydreamers. They've labeled it naive optimism, coincidence wearing a spiritual mask, or a pleasant illusion dressed up as wisdom. But beneath all the skepticism and sterile language of science lies something far more disruptive than fantasy. Manifestation isn't sorcery, it is structure. It works not because you hope hard enough, but because consciousness follows laws most of us were never taught to sense, let alone use. What appears mysterious is simply a subtle technology of awareness operating in the background of your life. You draw in the same tone you radiate. So let's begin with something you've likely felt but never named. Have you ever noticed how some people glide through life as if doors open before they arrive? They think of someone and that person reaches out. They picture a possibility and somehow the path unfolds beneath their feet. Meanwhile, others plan, push, affirm, and force, and nothing seems to shift. Is it circumstance, privilege, or is it resonance? Here's what most education leaves out. Reality is not a rigid stage. It is a living field, responsive and awake, built not of solid pieces, but of subtle patterns that carry information. Modern physics reveals that matter is slowed down energy, that particles behave like waves, and that the universe is structured not as certainty, but as probability. What you experience as real is a reflection of the vibration you hold. When this clicks, the veil begins to thin. If life is a field and you continually emit signals through your thoughts, emotions, and expectations, then you are not a spectator. You are an active participant, not metaphorically, mechanically. The universe does not respond to what you wish for. It responds to what you embody. And embodiment is not mental, it is energetic. You cannot disguise your inner state with clever thoughts. The field reads coherence, not performance. To understand why manifestation functions, we have to step into the quantum landscape, where particles appear and dissolve, where distance warps, and where reality becomes definite only when consciousness observes it. In this realm, potential is the primary rule. Every possible version of your path exists as waves of possibility. Only one crystallizes into form, the one matching your prevailing frequency. This is not mystical folklore. The foundations were laid decades ago. When particles were directed toward two slits, they behaved like waves until someone observed them. The moment they were watched, the wave collapsed into a single outcome. Observation determined form. Now translate that into your life. When you look at your world through scarcity, insecurity, or fear, even while longing for abundance, you collapse outcomes aligned with that inner atmosphere. You are not being denied. The field is simply mirroring you with precision. You cannot receive what your system cannot hold. This is why manifesting from desperation rarely creates movement. Desperation splits your signal. It wants something while simultaneously declaring it unreachable. The message broadcast into the field becomes, I am without, and the field, neutral, obedient, reflects exactly that. But when your inner landscape harmonizes, when thought, emotion, and belief move in unison, your signal strengthens. That harmony is what ancient teachers called faith, alignment, inner certainty. And it is the frequency the field recognizes most clearly. Picture this in another way. Imagine the universe not as a gatekeeper, but as an endless transmitter, sending out countless versions of reality at once. Every station already plays love, expansion, purpose, abundance. You are not creating the music, you are choosing the frequency. When you broadcast scarcity but speak the language of abundance, the signals clash. The field doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your tone. This is why many teachings fall short. They emphasize mindset, visualization, or affirmations, meaningful tools but powerless if they do not create coherence. You can repeat, I am worthy, endlessly, but if your body is vibrating in self-doubt, you are tuning into a different station altogether. Manifestation is not about thought alone. It is about transmission, and transmission rises from your state. Here's the paradox. The more you chase a desire as if it lives outside you, the more distance you create between you and it. The field mirrors that gap. But when you embody the feeling of already having, when your breath and behavior align with that version of you, you become a match. The field shifts not because you earned something, but because you aligned with it. This is where science and spirituality touch. What Neville Goddard called living in the end, what Abraham Hicks described as entering the vortex, what Florence Scovel-Shinn named the perfect mold, all point to the same principle. You collapse the version of reality that feels most true within. The outer world does not lead your inner world, it follows it. And this matters because it means you are not behind. You are not waiting for luck. You are not at the mercy of chance. You're not failing. You're simply broadcasting out of tune. And the moment your inner rhythm shifts back into harmony, not through pressure, but through coherence, your outer world rearranges to echo that change. Here's the final key of this chapter. Manifestation is not a cosmic prize. It is a mirror. The field does not respond to wanting, it responds to being. And in the next chapter, we will explore what this field truly is, how it operates scientifically, and why your emotions are not private sensations but signals that shape the architecture of your reality. You don't need more enchantment. You need to understand the mechanism. To grasp manifestation as a scientific principle rather than a mystical idea, you must stop imagining the universe as a machine and begin sensing it as a field, an ocean of vibration, intelligence, and possibility. Reality is not constructed from solid pieces. It is woven from frequencies. And the sooner you shift from seeing the world as fixed to feeling it as responsive, the faster you'll understand why your inner signal becomes your lived experience. Let's begin with the science. Quantum physics shows that everything in existence is energy, each form vibrating at its own signature. From the smallest particle to the edge of the cosmos, nothing is truly at rest. Every atom pulses, every field resonates. What you call solidity is simply slow vibration, interpreted by your senses as form. Behind every form is a unique energetic pattern, an invisible blueprint that determines its behavior. You carry one too. Your thoughts, your body, your emotional landscape, they all emit frequencies. Even your heart radiates an electromagnetic field measurable several meters beyond your body. That field shifts with your state. Gratitude, presence, openness create smooth, steady waves. Anxiety, shame, and tension distort them. And the field around you doesn't just register these patterns, it answers them. Now let's connect this to the spiritual. When Abraham Hicks says you attract what you are, she is describing a vibrational principle that mirrors modern physics. Energetic fields synchronize. Coherent patterns gravitate toward other coherent patterns. Incoherent ones fall out of alignment. What people call like attracts like is simply resonance expressing itself. David Bohm, one of the most visionary minds in quantum theory, proposed that the universe operates through a hidden dimension he called the implicate order, a deeper layer where everything is folded together in unity. What you experience as separate objects is just the unfolded surface of this connected field. Reality from this perspective is not everything that exists. It is the portion of the field that becomes visible because your observation and vibration brought it forward. This is why manifestation becomes inevitable, not mystical. Each thought carries charge. Each emotion carries amplitude. Together, they emit a frequency that interacts with the field, not by begging it for outcomes, but by indicating which dormant potential should unfold into your life. You are not making requests. You are sending instructions. Now let's touch on wave-particle duality. At the quantum level, particles exist as waves, spreads of possibility, until something observes them. Observation collapses the wave into a single form. Reality switches between fluid and fixed based on the observer's influence. And you are collapsing waves every moment with your attention, expectation, and state. This isn't abstract. Think of a moment when you felt genuine gratitude. Not forced, not spoken, but lived. Your body softened, your breathing steadied. Time loosened its grip. In that moment, your field transformed. You weren't chasing outcomes. You were aligned with yourself. And from that alignment, synchronicities appeared. Not because you demanded them, but because you became the version of you capable of perceiving them. This is the part no one teaches. You don't manifest by wanting, you manifest by allowing, you manifest through vibrational permission. Permission is granted through coherence. When your inner landscape settles into harmony, the larger field around you recognizes the stability of your signal and reflects it. It doesn't answer longing, it answers resonance. Let's anchor this with a new image. Picture the universe as an immense expanse of still water, and your consciousness as the point where a ripple begins. Every belief, emotion, and subtle intention sends waves outward. Some waves travel far, others fade instantly. The patterns that return to you are shaped not by what you wish the water would do, but by the quality of the ripple you create. Fear distorts the surface. Wholeness smooths it. The water was always capable of reflecting anything. Your ripple merely decides what it reflects back. So how do you work with this? You begin by taking full responsibility for the vibration you emit. You stop asking what is broken in your life and start asking what is dissonant in your field. You stop pleading for upgrades and instead shift your body and mind into alignment with the version of you that can naturally receive them. Not through worthiness earned, but through resonance achieved. This is why Neville Goddard emphasized living from the end. He wasn't promoting fantasy, he was teaching vibrational command. When you step into the emotional posture of the outcome fulfilled, when you inhabit it rather than imagine it, your entire field reorganizes and reality responds accordingly. Most people never hold the frequency long enough. One moment they rest in gratitude, the next they collapse into fear. The field receives both and mirrors both, not as judgment, but as accuracy. The field is not sentimental, it is attuned. This brings us to a deeper truth. You are not inside the universe as a separate observer. You are composed of the very substance that forms it. The part of you that thinks, senses, and chooses participates in shaping the quantum foundation from which form emerges. You are not visiting this field, you are woven into it. Your coherence clarifies its expression. So release the idea that manifestation is the act of pulling things toward you. Begin to see it as granting the field permission to reveal what has always been present. The abundance, the connection, the clarity, they are not arriving from a distance. They are vibrating just beyond the boundary of your current state. The moment your signal shifts, they move into view. In the next chapter, we will explore why your signal often contradicts your desires. Why those who crave more frequently receive less. Why the field isn't confused but perfectly faithful to what you consistently emit. Because you never receive what you plead for. You receive what you embody. You've been taught to ask, believe, and receive. To want something intensely so the universe will deliver it. But here is the disruptive truth that dissolves the illusion. You do not receive what you want. You receive what you broadcast, and most people broadcast the opposite of what they desire. Let's simplify this. The field does not respond to declarations. It does not respond to slogans. It does not respond to images taped on a wall. It responds to frequency, your dominant state, not your passing wish. This is why someone can say, "I am abundant" 100 times and still feel unworthy, tense, or afraid. The field does not register language, it registers tone. This isn't spiritual bypassing, it is energetic mechanics. Your mind, your emotions, and your physiology each generate electromagnetic patterns. When those patterns align, when thought, feeling, and action unify, you emit a coherent signal. That signal becomes a clear announcement to the field. This is who I am now. But when your mind affirms possibility while your emotions pulse with fear, when your desire lives in imagination while your nervous system contracts in doubt, your signal fractures. The field cannot match what is unclear. Let's go deeper. Most people desire from emptiness. They imagine love because they feel alone. They seek wealth because they feel unsafe. They repeat affirmations of confidence while vibrating insecurity. Those contradictions scramble the broadcast. The field does not materialize what you attempt to manifest. It mirrors what is consistent. And consistency requires emotional alignment. Joe Dispenza puts it succinctly. You cannot think one thing and feel another and expect transformation. Thought provides the electrical spark. Emotion provides the magnetic pull. Together, they form the energetic blueprint of your being. That blueprint is your instruction to the field. If the blueprint is scattered, the outcome is equally scattered. Consider this example. There is a woman named Laura. Each morning, she spends 20 minutes journaling about the relationship she longs for. She writes affirmations, visualizes closeness, lights candles, imagines warmth. But for the rest of the day, she vibrates anxiety, searches for rejection, replays old wounds, checks her phone compulsively, braces for disappointment. Her mind is aligned. Her field is constricted. Guess which signal the universe mirrors? Now compare her to someone who isn't actively trying to manifest love at all, but feels grounded, open, and secure. Their coherence is natural. Their field is spacious. They draw in connection not because they chase it, but because they have become a place where it can land. That is coherence in motion. This is the great reversal. Clinging to desire too tightly often signals disbelief. Wanting transforms into resistance. Desire becomes distance, and your field reflects that distance back to you. The path to manifestation is not through chasing outcomes, but through embodying states. Instead of imagining $1 million, immerse yourself in the feeling of financial freedom. Notice the sensation in your body, the lightness, the sense of safety, the ease of generosity. Practice that feeling until it becomes your baseline, until your nervous system registers it as already present. That is when reality begins to bend toward your vibration. This is the essence of Neville Goddard's teaching. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He was not endorsing daydreaming. He was instructing vibrational command. When the emotional signature of your desire becomes your natural state, the field aligns. Most people falter here. They engage in rituals yet glance for results too soon. That checking communicates doubt. The timeline shifts, not from punishment, but because your signal reverted to uncertainty. Reality responds to emotional consistency, not intellectual intention. Imagine your field as a magnet. Its strength does not come from what it wants, but from what it is. A magnet does not plead for metal to approach. It simply holds its charge, and in doing so, it draws. You must become that magnet, charged with the essence of your chosen timeline. Not through words, but through embodied resonance. Science underpins this. Your subconscious processes over 11 million bits of information per second, while your conscious mind manages only about 40. Your dominant frequency is generated not by deliberate thought, but by habitual feeling. Your emotional baseline becomes your broadcast, programming your reality. Fear as a default cannot be overcome by positive thinking alone. The nervous system must register safety. Desire without felt security produces a conflicting signal. If money triggers stress, betrayal, or isolation in your subconscious, your field rejects it, not as punishment, but as protection. The field mirrors your dominant vibration, stored not in thought, but in your state. Shift focus from what you want to who you must become to match it. How would that version of you feel, move, breathe, speak, and decide if your desire were already real? That self is not imagined, it is vibrationally accessible. The more you inhabit that signal, the more reality collapses into alignment with it. Soon you may reach a breaking point, not in despair, but in surrender. You have visualized, written scripts, spoken affirmations, yet the reality you seek remains elusive. Many give up here, but those willing to cross this threshold discover the shift from wanting to being. This transition is not conceptual, it is vibrational. It collapses timelines and transforms everything. Here is the core truth. As long as you want, you are signaling separation. Wanting carries the frequency of absence. It declares, this is not here. And the field, ever precise, mirrors exactly that. You continue to draw in experiences that reinforce that distance. The trap is subtle. Even highly skilled manifestors fall into it. They convince themselves they are aligned because they meditate, journal, and practice gratitude. Yet beneath those practices lives a faint vibration, almost too quiet to notice, whispering that it still hasn't arrived. That whisper is the real frequency. That whisper is the code the field responds to. To bring a new reality into form, Imagining it is not enough. You must become it. You must tune your entire being, your emotions, your posture, your breath, your awareness, into the state of already having. This is not pretending. It is rehearsing the inner signature of a self who no longer waits. The field does not answer effort. It answers coherence. Picture your desired reality as a radio station. It is already broadcasting within the field. You do not need to build it, search for it, or request it. You only need to tune to it. That tuning does not happen in the mind alone. It happens in the body. The version of you who has already received what you seek carries a tone, a rhythm, a way of breathing, thinking, choosing. You do not attract that version. You collapse into it. And as you do, the field reorganizes around your signal. Time softens, pathways clear, synchronicities multiply. Not because the universe rewards you, but because you finally stop resisting the frequency that had been calling you all along. Now let's ground this with a quantum ritual. This is not mere visualization. It is a timeline collapse, a shift from desire to identity. It takes 5 minutes, but practiced consistently, it rewires your signal at a cellular level. This is quantum state rehearsal, the inner collapse. First, find stillness. Sit or stand with your spine aligned. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly through the nose. Exhale fully through the mouth. Do this 3 times, allowing your awareness to settle. Second, activate the sensory self. Bring to mind the version of you who already lives the reality you desire, not as fantasy, but as a memory from the future. Notice what they see, what they hear, the temperature around them, the weight of their body, the quality of their energy. Third, match their breath. How does that version breathe? Slower, deeper, more grounded. Shift your breath to mirror theirs. Let it anchor you into their state. Fourth, lock in the emotion. Identify the core feeling of that reality. Is it peace, freedom, power? Let it rise. Let it expand until it saturates your entire field. Fifth, collapse the timeline. Speak aloud or inwardly. This is who I am now. Let it override every signal of separation. Hold it until your body believes it, until your field vibrates with it. This is not imagination. It is energetic calibration. Each session builds a new vibrational identity, and identities emit stable signals. The steadier the signal, the faster the field reconfigures in your favor. You are not changing the future. You are choosing which version of it to entangle with now. But here is where most slip. They collapse the state for 5 minutes, then spend the rest of the day reacting to their old life. They search for signs, measure their progress, radiate impatience. Without noticing, they reconnect to the old timeline. Not because it is more real, but because it is more familiar. The nervous system mistakes repetition for truth. You cannot hold a new frequency while emotionally funding the old one. This shift must be embodied, not performed. You must walk, speak, and choose like the version of you who already lives the outcome. Not to fake it, but to broadcast coherence. The field listens to your baseline, not your performance. And when it gets difficult, when doubt rises, when change feels invisible, remember this: timelines don't shift when the world looks different. They shift when you feel different. And when you keep feeling it, even before the evidence arrives, that isn't delusion. That is quantum discipline. This isn't magic, it is mastery. So now we turn this into a shared resonance, a collective frequency that stabilizes the new timeline. For everyone participating, declare it: I am the field that creates. Let your future self feel the imprint. Let your signal be witnessed. Let this become your vibrational contract with the field. In the next chapter, we enter one of the most misunderstood principles in quantum manifestation: the observer effect, and why awareness infused with emotion does more than notice reality. It selects which version becomes solid. You are no longer asking. You are no longer waiting. You have begun to be. Now it's time to program the field with precision. There is a truth woven so deeply into the fabric of existence that once recognized, it erases passive living forever. Awareness is not neutral. Awareness is creative. The way you observe, with emotion, expectation, and belief, shapes what materializes. This isn't speculation, it is physics. Consider the famous double-slit experiment. Particles were sent through two slits toward a screen. When left unobserved, they behaved like waves, exploring every potential path at once. But the moment they were observed, they collapsed into particles, choosing a single outcome. Observation altered the result, not the equipment, not the conditions, but conscious measurement. The particle behaved differently depending on whether someone was watching. So ask yourself, what is your life doing when you are not observing it? And how does it reorganize when you observe through fear or through faith? Most people drift through life as though they are victims of randomness, forgetting that attention is not passive. Your attention is a spotlight. It selects, it emphasizes. Most importantly, it collapses potential into form. You are not merely witnessing life unfold, you are activating specific versions of it by the way you look at it. Imagine your life as a field of overlapping timelines. In one, you are thriving. In another, you are stagnant. In yet another, you are expanding and creating at a level that surprises even you. These possibilities coexist like waves waiting to be chosen. The chooser is your awareness, particularly awareness infused with emotion. When you lock your attention onto a specific version of reality, especially through repetition, you energize it. That timeline grows stronger, more pronounced, until it becomes the one you call real. Nothing predetermined it. It was a loop of perception, emotion, and reinforcement. This is why patterns feel unbreakable. You notice lack, feel fear, reinforce scarcity, broadcast the same vibration, and observe more lack. The field responds faithfully, not out of punishment, but out of loyalty to your focus. Here is a principle most overlook. Reality does not respond to what is factually true. It responds to what you repeatedly observe as true. This is the power and danger of unconscious awareness. If you obsess over absence, the field collapses more absence. If you continually highlight what isn't working, the waveform becomes resistance. If you amplify betrayal, injustice, or unworthiness, the field does not correct you, it mirrors you. Not because the field is judging, but because that is how quantum mechanics operates. Observation programs behavior. So let's turn the lens. When you direct your attention with gratitude, presence, and emotional conviction toward the version of life you intend to reinforce, you begin programming the field deliberately. The signal you emit through focused, emotionally charged awareness reshapes the wave into a new particle, a new now. This is what spiritual traditions have been pointing to for centuries. What you focus on expands not as cliché, but as vibrational law. The observer collapses the wave every time. So how do you use this consciously? First, by mastering the quality of your focus. Most assume awareness is just mental attention, but true quantum observation is embodied. It requires feeling the outcome as real, not watching it as if it's separate, but remembering it as a future past. The more real it feels internally, the more inevitable it becomes externally. Not eventually, in the field, instantly. Second, by reprogramming your emotional filters. If you've been conditioned to anticipate disappointment, betrayal, or delay, then your awareness is contaminated. And contaminated awareness collapses contaminated timelines. This isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility to cleanse the lens through which you observe. One powerful method is pattern interruption. Catch yourself mid-thought when your mind starts scanning for evidence that you're behind, unseen, or unworthy. Pause not to logically correct the thought, but to shift the frequency. Instead of, I hope it works, breathe into, it is already working, even if I cannot see it yet. That subtle shift upgrades the emotional charge, and the field responds accordingly. Third, observe your life as if it's already responding to you. When you enter a room, expect alignment. When you send an email, feel the timeline where it is received with openness. When you visualize your future, don't plead for it, witness it. Observation is spiritual technology. Use it with intention. Let me ground this with a story. A client, let's call him Daniel, once came to me in financial crisis. He had read the books, built the vision boards, and practiced every manifesting ritual, yet nothing changed. Until I asked one question, when you open your banking app, what do you feel? He paused. Dread. That dread was his true signal. That dread was his observer effect in action. So we created a new ritual. For 30 days, he wasn't allowed to open his banking app until he first calibrated to abundance, breathing into the version of himself who felt supported. At first, it felt artificial, but gradually something shifted. The numbers changed, yes, but more importantly, his opportunities multiplied. He started noticing pathways he had previously ignored. The wave collapsed into a new trajectory because he changed the emotion behind his observation. The moment you upgrade the energy of your observation, the field reorganizes. Not through force, through alignment. And here's the truth most forget. You are always observing, even when you're not trying. Every belief is an observation stabilized by emotion. Every complaint is a vibrational instruction. Every assumption is a magnetic signature. So the real question is not, how do I manifest what I want? It is, which version of reality am I repeatedly observing and with what emotional charge? Because that is the version the quantum field will collapse. In the final chapter, we bring all of this together. You will learn what it means to live as the field, not manifest occasionally, but become a walking vibrational blueprint that reality cannot help but echo. A life where synchronicity becomes normal, coherence becomes your baseline, and manifestation stops being something you try to do and becomes something you effortlessly are. There is a moment when manifestation stops being an act and becomes a state. When you no longer visualize to get, but visualize because creation is your nature. When you stop waiting for the world to shift and start recognizing yourself as the signal that shifts it. This is the transition from manifesting outcomes to embodying the field. And once you cross that threshold, you don't just attract a better life, you broadcast one.